Hello everyone, my name is Matt Schuller here at beautiful Rippon Lodge, and today we're going to be talking about Martin Scarlett, who he was, and his significance to Rippon Lodge. We begin our story in July of 1796 when famed architect Benjamin Latrobe visited Rippon Lodge during his trip to Mount Vernon. During his stay, Latrobe sketched a watercolor canvas of the site's main house and all of its outbuildings. One outbuilding of note was this small cabin located in the center of the backfield, exactly behind me where the boxwood bushes currently sit today. In his notes, Latrobe mentions that the Blackburns, the family who was living here at the time, had no knowledge of who built the cabin or when, for it was already on the property when Richard Blackburn first bought it in 1734 from John Gosselin. In his notes, Latrobe also mentions that the Blackburns had every intention of combining this small cabin with the main property. For sometime after 1796, this cabin completely disappears off of the site. We have no record of what happened to the materials or where they were stored, but we suspect that Thomas Blackburn, the current owner of Rippon Lodge at the time of Latrobe's visit, may have actually demolished the cabin, repurposed its materials for two new additions that he's going to add to the house later in 1800, specifically the new stairwell and two extra bedrooms, one on the first floor and one on the second floor. But yet this still doesn't really answer the question of who exactly built the cabin and when. So we're actually going to head over to the site where the cabin used to exist, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the cabin and who may have very well have actually constructed it. So where we're standing at right now is the approximate location where this cabin once stood when Richard bought the property in 1734. Now, if we consider Benjamin Latrobe's notes and the fact that this house or this cabin would have been roughly late 17th century in its construction, then that kind of points to only one man who would have owned this land at the time, and his name is Martin Scarlett. But who is Martin Scarlett specifically? Well, Martin Scarlett was an early Virginia settler as well as a farmer who served in Virginia's House of Burgesses between 1680 and 1695, representing Stafford County well before it split into present-day Prince William County in 1731. Mr. Scarlett also served as a justice of the peace during his tenure. While the details behind his birth, as well as when he emigrated from England, are a bit unclear, we do know he purchased some land between 1653 and 1655 that encompassed right around here where Rippon Lodge is at, a little bit of Neabsco Creek, all the way up to Occoquan Bay. This land was about 700 acres and was known mainly as Burbage's Neck, named after the previous landowner, Thomas Burbage. It's there, closer to modern-day Occoquan Bay National Wildlife Refuge, that Martin Scarlett actually built a new home called Deep Hole Plantation, that he would basically live there for most of his remaining life. So we suspect that the cabin that was here on the property initially may have actually belonged to Martin Scarlett as an early home of sorts before his work at Deep Hole Plantation is finished. Now, whether or not he continues to use the cabin where I'm standing at today, beyond that time, we're just not sure. More research needs to be done before we can actually figure that out. So what happened to Martin Scarlett? Well, we know he dies in 1695. His property at Deep Hole Plantation likely passed to his stepson Joshua Green, though after he dies in about 1698, 1699, that property more or less goes to a few different hands. Different families will own the property until the U.S. military will essentially buy the land up towards Occoquan Bay by the 20th century. In regards to what happens to the land that Rippon Lodge sits on, we're not entirely sure. There's a possibility that Martin Scarlett may have actually sold the land prior to his death, or it could have been acquired after he dies, but we just don't have any record of how this land ends up in John Gosselin's possession by 1734, when he ultimately sells 435 acres of it to Richard Blackburn. In the 1930s, though, Martin Scarlett's tombstone was actually found up towards Occoquan Bay, where Deep Hole Plantation used to sit, and by 2005, with the help of Prince William County's Historic Preservation, we were actually able to salvage it from the Occoquan River and relocate it here back to Rippon Lodge's cemetery, as you can see right over here. Now, it may be barely legible today, but back when it was photographed in the 1930s, you can actually make out a few of the inscriptions. So the center inscription that you might be able to see would have said MS 1695, which stood for Martin Scarlett in the year he died in 1695. There also would have been a bottom inscription that you won't be able to see at the bottom of the headstone that would have said "Here lies Martin Scarlett, gentleman." This second headstone behind me was also located and salvaged where the first tombstone was, but we don't really know exactly who it belongs to, and more research will have to be done to figure that out. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in watching more videos and other content such as this, please leave a like and subscribe to our official YouTube channel with the Office of Historic Preservation. Until then, my name is Matt, and I hope to join you guys next time for our next video. Bye-bye.